Have you ever wondered how redirection works in web engineering? Today, we unravel this mystery. Redirection in the realm of web engineering is the automatic process of ushering users from one URL to another. It's like your online GPS, guiding you seamlessly to your destination. It's a tool that comes in handy for a plethora of reasons, such as dealing with outdated URLs, ushering users to a fresh location, or even crafting URL shortening services. There are three main ways this can be done: server-side, client-side, and using HTTP status codes. Each of these methods has its own unique approach and application. From the server-side techniques that handle redirection before any content reaches the client, to client-side methods that use technologies like JavaScript for redirection, and even HTTP status codes that indicate redirection to browsers. So let's dive into the world of redirection, starting with server-side redirection. Server-side redirection, as the name suggests, takes place on the server before any content reaches the client. Now, why is that important? Well, imagine you're a web developer and you've just updated your website. You've got a shiny new page, but you don't want your users to hit a dead end when they try to access the old URL, so you need to redirect them automatically to the new one. That's where server-side redirection comes in handy. Consider this: you're working with Java web applications using servlets. You can perform server-side redirection using methods like sendRedirect of the HTTP servlet response object. This method sends a temporary redirect response to the client with the specified redirect location. It's as simple as typing response send redirect new page JSP. This line of code will ensure your users land on the new page. But don't worry if you're not using Java, server-side redirection isn't exclusive to it. You can configure server-side redirection using web server settings. For instance, if you're using Apache HTTP server, you can use Apache's mod_rewrite module to redirect requests. Alternatively, if you're more into Nginx, you can use rewrite directives for the same purpose. In essence, server-side redirection is like a traffic cop, guiding your users where to go before they even get to your site. It's a powerful tool in your web development toolkit, allowing you to handle outdated URLs, direct users to new locations, or even implement URL shortening services. But remember, server-side redirection is just one way of handling redirection. There are other methods out there, each with its own strengths and weaknesses, so it's crucial to understand your needs and choose the approach that best fits your situation. So there you have it. That's server-side redirection. Now let's explore the client side of things. Unlike server-side redirection, client-side redirection occurs on the user's browser. You see, client-side redirection is just what it sounds like. It's a method that involves using technologies that run in the user's browser, think HTML and JavaScript, to redirect users to a different URL. This approach has its advantages. For one, it allows you to control the redirection process right from the user's browser. This can be quite useful, especially when you need to perform redirection based on certain conditions that can only be determined on the client side. For instance, you might want to redirect users based on their browser type, or perhaps their language settings. Now, how do we carry out client-side redirection? Let's dive into some examples. First up, HTML. You can use the meta tag in HTML with the HTTP equiv attribute set to refresh. This allows you to specify a time interval after which the user will be automatically redirected to a different URL. Here's a quick example for you. Meter HTTP equiv refresh content =5 URL $. In this case, after 5 seconds, the user will be redirected to example.com/newpage.html, moving on to JavaScript, another popular method for client-side redirection. JavaScript provides a window.location object, which you can use to redirect users programmatically. Here's how you can do it. Window.location.ref $. With this line of code, the user's browser will immediately navigate to example.com/newpage.html, client-side redirection can be a powerful tool in your web development toolkit. It gives you more control over the redirection process. But remember, it happens after the page is loaded. This means that if your redirection logic is complex, it could potentially slow down the user's experience, so use it wisely. Keep your user's experience in mind when deciding when and how to implement client-side redirection. Now, let's talk about HTTP status codes. HTTP status codes tell the client about the status of their request. Some of these codes are specifically for redirection. Consider HTTP status codes as a language of sorts, where the server communicates with the client. Among the hundreds of status codes that exist, there are specific ones that indicate redirection. The most common ones are 301 and 302. Now imagine you've moved house. You wouldn't want your mail to keep going to your old address, right? That's where the 301 status code comes in. It's like leaving a note for the postman saying, "I've moved permanently, please send all my mail to this new address." The 301 status code, or moved permanently, is used to indicate that the requested resource has packed up and relocated permanently to a new URL. This is the server's way of telling the client, "Hey, the thing you're looking for isn't here anymore. It's moved over there permanently." But what if you're just away for a while? You're on holiday and you want your mail forwarded to your temporary address. This is where the 302 status code steps in. The 302 status code, or found, is used to indicate that the requested resource is temporarily residing at a different URL. It's the server's way of saying, "The thing you're looking for, it's over there, but just for now." In both cases, the web servers and web applications send these status codes as part of the HTTP response header. This effectively instructs the client to redirect their request to a new URL. It's like a polite server doorman, gently guiding the client towards the right location. It's fascinating, isn't it? How these three-digit codes play such a crucial role in web navigation. They ensure that even when things move around on the internet, we, as users, can still find what we're looking for, whether it's a specific website, a blog post, or an online shopping page. So HTTP status codes are a neat way to manage redirections, but how do we tie all this together? As we've seen, redirection is a versatile tool in web engineering, but how should you implement it? When implementing redirection, it's not just about choosing a method and going with it. There are several considerations that you need to keep in mind. One of these is the search engine optimization, or SEO implications. If you are redirecting from an old page to a new one, you want to ensure that the search engine understands this and carries over the search ranking from the old page to the new one. This is where the choice between a temporary 302 and permanent 301 redirect comes into play. A 301 redirect is the way to go if you want to preserve the SEO value of the old page. Another important consideration is user experience. If a redirection is taking too long, or if it's resulting in a broken link, it could frustrate your users and drive them away. This is why it's essential to test your redirects and ensure they're working smoothly. Also, consider the user's context. For instance, if you're redirecting mobile users to a mobile-specific page, ensure that the experience on the redirected page is optimized for mobile viewing. Next, consider the permanence of the redirection. As mentioned before, a 301 redirect is permanent, while a 302 is temporary. If you're moving a page permanently, use a 301 redirect. But if you're only redirecting temporarily, for instance, during a website maintenance, a 302 redirect would be appropriate. Finally, remember that the method of redirection you choose should be based on your specific use case. If you're dealing with server-side content, a server-side redirection method would be appropriate. But if you're dealing with client-side content, consider using JavaScript or HTML meta tags for redirection. In conclusion, implementing redirection is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires careful consideration of factors like SEO, user experience, and the specific needs of your situation. Remember, the key to successful redirection is understanding your needs and choosing the right method. So, we've learned quite a bit about redirection today. We've delved into server-side redirection, where we discussed techniques like using the send redirect method in Java servlets or configuring web server settings in Apache and Nginx. We then ventured into the realm of client-side redirection, using JavaScript or HTML meta tags to guide users to a different URL. Who can forget the handy window location in JavaScript or the refresh attribute in HTML meta tags? We also explored the use of HTTP status codes, such as 301 and 302, to indicate permanent or temporary redirection. Remember, these status codes are a part of the HTTP response header and instruct clients to redirect to a new URL. And finally, we touched on some crucial considerations when implementing redirection. like SEO implications, user experience, and the permanence of the redirection. With these tools in your web engineering toolkit, you're now well equipped to manage redirections effectively. Until next time, keep exploring.